Hi everybody, this is Gianluca. I am a portrait drawing coach and I have studied portrait drawing for more than 3 years now. Um, and I've been able to go from zero to like not being able how to draw to being pretty good at it. And so, I think I have some credibility to spread some knowledge. Today's video is gonna be about I want to talk to you about the right mindset that you need to have in order to learn portrait drawing. And so yeah, let's get into that. I wrote down some points and I'm gonna read them. So the first point that I wrote is you need to have a specific image of what you want to draw. What do I mean by that? So there is a lot of styles of drawing. There is I don't know, caricatures. There is comic books. There is manga. There is hyper realistic drawings. There is realistic drawings, which is what I teach. Um, and so all of these styles of drawing, they all require different skills in order for you to learn them, right? So you cannot like study one thing and then expect to know how to do the other, right? You need to study uh, by understanding what you want to draw. And so that's what I mean when I say you need to have a specific image. Like, of course, I don't mean an image on your computer. I mean a goal, right? The result that you want to have. And that is the most important thing, because I see a lot of people, like there's students that they say, oh, I want to be, I don't know, a concept artist, and then they go to study to a realist school, like a classical atelier. Now the problem with that is that the training is completely different. Now the like if you think about it, in some sense the end result is always to create an image, right? So we might say that it might be similar, it might be the same, but it's not the same because the kind of training that you need to do is different. And so you need to have a specific um, vision, a specific result that you want to achieve, because otherwise it's going to be just confusing. So that's the first point. The second point is, now this is a little bit provocatory, but I'm going to explain this. I wrote, is practicing things like the Loomis head or the planes of the head or the features of the head is useless. Now what do I mean by that? I mean that like practicing these things on their own is useless because you don't know how to apply them, right? If you go, like for example, I see a lot of videos on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and type how to draw portraits, a lot of videos come out of people that want to teach you the Loomis head, or they want to teach the planes of the head, or they want to teach you the anatomy of the eyes, for example. Now these are all very useful things to learn, but you need to understand the context first. And so if you study them in isolation, there's not much you can do with them, because if you start to study the Loomis head and you learn to draw the Loomis head from imagination, that will not help you to draw portraits better, right? I mean, it will help you, but you still have to draw, like it won't make you learn to draw portraits, right? So the best thing to do is, let's say you want to draw portraits, okay, go to draw portraits from life, study portraits from observation, and then what you do is, like you say, for example, you draw a portrait, and then you look at it and say, okay, I've done this mistake, like for example, I need to study this, and you go to study, for example, I don't know, maybe you struggle with the orientation of the head, maybe you struggle with understanding like how to draw the heads in different positions. Okay, you understood that by drawing from life, and then what you do is you go to study the Loomis head. Okay, and you start to understand a little bit the perspective and everything. But if you don't do that, if you do the opposite, it's just confusing. Okay, same thing for the anatomy. Like for example, the skull. Now the skull is really, really useful, or the planes of the head. These are all very useful things, but you need to contextualize them, right? You need to understand why you have to do them. And the only way to understand it is to study from life. So the next point is every exercise needs to have a specific purpose. Why is that? And what do I mean? I mean that when you study drawing, there's a lot of things that you need to learn, right? There's things like proportions, values, modeling of the form. There's construction. There's a lot of anatomy. A lot of things. And so when you go to practice and when you go to do a specific exercise, when you go to do an exercise, every exercise that you do needs to have a specific specific purpose, and it needs to teach you a specific thing, right? So you cannot go to study, like to draw, and like randomly do random exercises. You need to be specific, and the best way to do that is, first of all, you need to understand your weaknesses. This is very important. You're very lucky because you found me. I have a mentorship program, which I'm going to talk to you about, which I'm going to talk about at the end of the video. But first of all, you need to learn your weaknesses, and so that you can do specific training for that specific thing. For example, if you want to learn, maybe let's say you have drawn, I don't know, 10 portraits, and you have discovered that in all the portraits there is a problem about proportions. There is maybe, I don't know, you make the nose too long, for example. Okay, now you understand that you need to improve that, right? You need to improve proportions. And so what you do is you make specific exercises, like the blocking, for example, which I'm going to talk to you, which I'm going to talk about later. But like, you make specific exercises based on your weaknesses, right? For example, you need to learn the values. Like, for example, you have understood that you have weaknesses in values and in the planes of the head, and so you go study those things. And so that every exercise that you do is like channeled and is very focused, so that you can learn more, right? Because I'm not saying that by randomly drawing you're not going to learn, because of course, it's always like mileage and it's always practice, which is good. But if you do it with purpose, and if you do it more specific, you're going to learn faster, basically. And that's basically the difference between drawing by yourself and having a mentor, having somebody that's going to guide you. Because when you draw by yourself, you don't know what to do, you're lost, basically you're confused, and so you just practice. But that's not very helpful. I mean, of course, I said already, you're going to learn anyways, but it's going to take you like 10 times the amount of time, right? And so yeah, I mean, you can learn by yourself, but it's better to have somebody that is going to guide you. And this is also, we can talk about, for example, the difference between practice and feedback, right? Because you can practice a lot, but if you don't have feedback, if you don't have like somebody that like puts you on the right direction, you are going to lose yourself, right? You're going to be confused, and you're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over again until they become a habit, and that's not good, right? So you want to have, every exercise needs to be specific for training a certain thing that you want to learn, right? Because otherwise it's going to be a waste of time. So the next topic is going to be the training your eye versus training your hand. Now, if you want to learn to draw, you need to have both of these things. You need to learn to use your eye, and you need to learn to use your hand, because one without the other is just useless. For example, if you I don't know, if you have a very good hand and you have used your tool a lot, and so you know how to use your tool very well, but you don't see your eye isn't trained enough, then it's just useless, right? Because yes, you can draw very well, but you don't see well, and so the drawings are not going to look good, or they're not going to be correct. The opposite is also true. If you have a very good eye, but you don't know how to draw, but basically your hand is like very bad, when you go to execute it, you don't know how to do it, and so you make mistakes, and so that's very frustrating. I know I've been there, because you're drawing and you see mistakes that you made, but you don't know how to fix them, and that's very, very frustrating. So you need both. How do you train both? So let's talk about first training your eye. Training your eye is a little complicated, because especially for beginners, because the problem with beginners, let's talk about this. The problem with beginners is that they don't see their mistakes, right? They don't know what they're doing wrong, and so they make a drawing, right? They finish the drawing, but maybe they don't like the drawing they've made at the moment, and they see it, they say, I don't like it, but they don't know why they don't like it, because they don't see the mistakes that they've made, and this is very, very problematic. So what they do is they keep drawing, but since they don't know that they're making mistakes, they keep making the same mistakes, and then those mistakes become habits, and once they become a habit, it's going to be much more difficult to remove, right? And so that's very problematic if you are by yourself. Now, how can you solve that? You can solve that by having a trained eye, so a teacher, a mentor, that's going to look at your drawing and say, okay, this is wrong, fix this, fix that, and then what you're going to do is go and fix those things. because it's a process, right? It's it's something that you do over and over again, and it's also a mindset that you need to get into, because also there's also one more thing, which is some people, not beginners, but like more advanced people, they might even be able to see their mistakes, but the problem is that they're not in the mindset of going to fix it, right? Because fixing a mistake is very difficult, especially if you are, I don't know, late in the drawing and you have all the values and you have, you know, all the transitions and everything, and then you spot a proportional mistake. Maybe let's give you an example. You're drawing a portrait, you're at the end of the portrait, and then you at the end you see that the eyes are not aligned properly, and so you have to completely erase one eye and draw it again. But it's all like, you know, modeled and very well done. It's going to be very, very difficult to do that, right? Very frustrating, very, you know, we don't want to do it, and so that's also a problem. But that's a minor problem, because, you know, that's on you actually. So that's your problem, because you see the mistake, but it's just laziness at that point. But when we talk about beginners, they don't see their mistakes, okay, and so they keep making them and they become a habit eventually. And so how do you fix them? How do you fix it? You fix it by having a mentor, by having somebody that is going to lead you into the right direction, that is going to show you the way, right? Now you're lucky, as I said before, because you found me, which is very good for you. But if you don't have me, is it possible to do it by yourself? Yes, of course, everything's possible, but it's gonna take you a lot more time and a lot more willpower to continue, because it's gonna be frustrating and you need to, you know, it's gonna be very, very difficult. But you can do it. I trust you can do it. Yeah, I really trust you. And then there is the next thing, which is training your hand. Now, training your hand is basically like understanding your tool, right? Understanding how to use your tool. So, for example, if you're using charcoal, you need to understand how to use charcoal. If you're using oil painting, you need to understand how to use oil painting, and how do you do that? By using it a lot. And also, to have a mastery of your medium, the only thing you need to learn is how to make a hard edge and how to make a soft transition. These are the only two things you need, and if you learn them, you have basically mastered your medium, right? The other thing is textural differences, but you know, to get to a very, very good level, soft edges and hard edges are all you need to understand. And so yeah, use your medium a lot, use your tool a lot, and eventually with practice you will get there, because you will you know, just experiment a lot and understand your medium better. So that's pretty easy. So this is the video for today. Hope you enjoyed. Let me remind you that I have a mentorship program designed specifically for retired people that want to learn how to draw portraits. This is for the people that like they don't want to, this is not for young people that want to pursue this as a career and they want to, you know, study and learn as fast as possible. If you are that, this is not the right place for you. This is for people that want to enjoy the process. They want to, I don't know, maybe they want to draw the portrait of their grandchildren, and maybe they've always had the passion of wanting to learn to draw, and they never had the time, or maybe like they've been told that they needed talent and so they've never done it, and now they're retired and so they want to learn. This is the right place for you. I have an amazing mentorship in which I'm gonna guide you step by step. You're gonna get critiques. You're gonna get personalized critiques. I'm gonna spot all of your mistakes, all of your weaknesses. I'm gonna give you exercises. Like I'm gonna be there with you the entire journey, hopefully, and it's really good. The one other thing that I want to say is you need to practice. Okay, so this is, if you are one of those people that think that by buying the mentorship immediately, I'm gonna give you like a secret so that you become good immediately. This is not the right place for you. So like, I would love to change your mind. I would love to teach you the you know, the way of how to do it properly. But if you are one of those people and that thinks like that, you're not the right fit for me. So I wanted to say that because so there's no confusion. So if you're interested, it's really good, as I said before. Don't hesitate to contact me. Also, I want to tell you that I have a limited time, of course, because I cannot give like 1,000 critiques a day. So hurry up, because otherwise spots might finish. And yeah, this is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's gonna be very helpful for me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.